The battery commander on Qeshm Island has been waiting for this transit for 11 days. His intelligence picture shows USS Dwight D. Eisenhower, CVN-69, a Nimitz-class nuclear-powered aircraft carrier, scheduled to transit the Strait of Hormuz westbound on the morning tide cycle, entering the strait's eastern approach at approximately 600 local. The transit window is predictable. Large deck carriers transiting the Strait of Hormuz use a specific routing protocol tied to water depth, traffic separation schemes, and the geometry of the strait itself. The strait is narrow. At the narrows, there are only so many places a 333-meter, 104,000-ton vessel can go. The battery commander has plotted the probable track. He has measured the ranges. His two Khalij Fars anti-ship ballistic missile launchers, positioned in a hardened revetment on the northern plateau of Qeshm Island, can reach every nautical mile of the carrier's transit corridor from their current position. He has the geometry, he has the authorization, he has been rehearsing the firing sequence with his crew for 8 days. What he does not know is that his hardened revetment has been photographed by a KH-11 imagery satellite on 14 separate passes over the past 3 weeks, and that the specific configuration of the launchers, their orientation, their readiness state, as assessed from thermal signatures, the vehicle pattern around the revetment that indicates crew presence and operational status, has been analyzed by imagery intelligence specialists who have been building an updated assessment of Qeshm Island's coastal defense capability since the battery was first activated 19 days ago. He does not know that the signals intelligence architecture covering the strait has been logging his crew's communications since the battery moved to operational status. He does not know that the timing of his crew rotations, their meal breaks, and their communications discipline has been assessed and compared against previous IRGC coastal defense battery operational patterns to produce a readiness timeline that predicts within a 30-minute window when the battery is at maximum crew readiness. He does not know any of this. He knows his missiles, his targeting geometry, and his authorization. At 5:47 local, USS Dwight D. Eisenhower enters the eastern approach to the Strait of Hormuz. She's making 14 knots on a heading of 275. She is accompanied by USS Gettysburg, CG-64, a Ticonderoga-class guided missile cruiser serving as the strike group's air warfare commander, and by USS Nitsa on the northern flank and USS Gravely on the southern flank. The strike group is in the standard straight transit formation, compressed lateral spacing, all surface units in close proximity to the carrier, all Aegis systems in full combat readiness configuration. The transit has been planned for 6 weeks. The planning includes a threat assessment for Qeshm Island coastal defense assets that names the specific battery the battery commander is operating. This is the shape of the Eisenhower's preparation. And yet there is a vulnerability. Eisenhower's transit of the strait is a constrained maneuver. A carrier in the strait cannot sprint and dodge. The water is too shallow, the traffic too dense, the channel too narrow. She is committed to a corridor that is approximately 12 nautical miles wide at the narrows, moving at 14 knots, and she will be in the maximum threat geometry. Closest point of approach to the Qeshm Island battery at approximately 6:22 local. At closest point of approach, the distance between Eisenhower's keel and the battery's launcher position is 19 nautical miles. 19 nautical miles is well within the Khalij Fars engagement envelope. At closest point of approach, Eisenhower cannot maneuver significantly. She is in a channel. This is real. A carrier in the Strait of Hormuz is the most geographically constrained that any aircraft carrier in U.S. Navy service ever gets. The geometry of the strait is not negotiable. The battery commander has identified this constraint correctly. The window of vulnerability is real. What he has not correctly assessed is what happens at 5:51 local, 31 minutes before closest point of approach. At 5:51 local, the battery commander orders his crew to final readiness. This is the order that begins the terminal countdown to the firing sequence. The crew at Launcher 1 begins the pre-launch checklist. The crew at Launcher 2 follows 4 seconds later. The pre-launch checklist for the Khalij Fars takes approximately 18 minutes to complete. The battery commander plans to fire at 0609 local, 13 minutes before closest point of approach, timed to put the missiles in terminal phase, when Eisenhower is at her most constrained position in the channel. The pre-launch checklist requires the Khalij Fars fire control radar, the Zafar targeting radar, to activate for a final targeting solution update. The Zafar radar activation occurs at 5:53 local. It transmits for 47 seconds. USS Gettysburg's SLQ-32 detects the Zafar emission at 5:53:04 local, 4 seconds after activation. The classification takes 0.3 seconds. The SLQ-32's identification of the Zafar radar returns a confidence level that the electronic warfare officer will describe in the after-action report as the system equivalent of certainty. This specific emission profile, at this specific bearing from the strike group from this specific geographic position, is the Qeshm Island Khalij Fars battery in final targeting mode. The classification, with bearing, range estimate, and confidence level, goes to Gettysburg's tactical action officer in 1.1 seconds. It goes to the Eisenhower strike group's integrated air and missile defense picture via Link 16 in a further 2.3 seconds. The battery commander's Zafar radar has just told the entire strike group that it is preparing to fire. In Gettysburg's Combat Information Center, the tactical action officer has the Zafar classification. He has the battery's position, 19 nautical miles bearing 047 from Eisenhower's current position. He has the Khalij Fars engagement solution that Gettysburg's Aegis combat system has been maintaining as a standing contingency plan since the transit planning was completed 6 weeks ago. The contingency plan for the Qeshm Island battery is not something Gettysburg improvised at 5:53 local. It has been in the mission planning system since the transit was approved. The engagement solutions are updated continuously as the strike group moves through the strait. At 05:53 local, the solution is current. The tactical action officer reports to the commanding officer. The commanding officer is on the bridge. He has been on the bridge since 5 a.m. local. He issues 2 orders in the 4 seconds between receiving the report and beginning the response. Weapons, free against the designated Qeshm Island battery position, and get Eisenhower's commanding officer on the voice circuit. The second order is about what is coming, not about seeking permission. The strike group commanding officer on Eisenhower's flag bridge has already been notified by his own watch team and has authorized the engagement in the same 4-second window. The Harpoon anti-ship missile is not what most people expect Gettysburg to employ against a land-based coastal defense battery. The SM-2 is for aerial targets. The SM-3 is for ballistic missiles. What Gettysburg carries for situations that require reaching out and removing a coastal threat that has declared its intent with a fire control radar activation is the RGM-84 Harpoon Block II. The Block II has a GPS guidance system that allows it to engage land targets with the same terminal accuracy as maritime targets. Its 227-kilogram warhead is sized for ship targets, which makes it generously sized for a coastal missile launcher. Gettysburg has 4 Harpoon canisters on her deck. 2 of them are now in the launch sequence. At the same moment that Gettysburg begins the Harpoon launch sequence, USS Nitz's Mark 45 5-inch gun is training toward bearing 047. The Mark 45 has a range of approximately 23 nautical miles with standard ammunition, and the Qeshm Island battery is at 19 nautical miles, inside the gun's effective range. The 5-inch gun is not a precision weapon against a hardened revetment. It is a suppression weapon. It will keep the battery crew occupied and potentially degrade the launcher operation during the window between now and the Harpoon's arrival. The first round leaves the Mark 45 at 05:54:33 local. The battery commander hears the first Nitsa round impact on the plateau 200 meters from his position at 5:55:07 local. The round does not hit the revetment. It hits the approach road to the revetment, which was a reasonable aim point for a suppression engagement at 19 nautical miles with standard ammunition. The impact is close enough and loud enough to produce a specific quality of concern in the battery crew's behavior that will be observable in the FLIR imagery being collected by the MQ-9 maritime variant that has been orbiting at 45,000 feet over the strait since 4:30 local. The MQ-9's sensor feed is going to the strike group, to 5th Fleet, and to multiple intelligence community addressees simultaneously. The battery commander has a choice to make in the next 47 seconds before a second round arrives. He can continue the pre-launch checklist and fire the Khalij Fars as planned. He can abort the pre-launch sequence and move his crews to the revetment's hardened shelter. Or he can attempt to relocate the launchers, an option that requires 22 minutes of preparation time and is not available to him in 47 seconds. He continues the pre-launch checklist. This is, from a certain angle, a demonstration of genuine courage. The battery crew has trained for this contingency. They have been told that the launchers will draw fire and that the mission priority is higher than the risk to the crew. The battery commander has accepted this calculus. He continues because he believes, correctly, that if he fires the Khalij Fars before the Harpoons arrive, the missiles will be in the air, and the subsequent destruction of the launcher does not undo a launch that has already occurred. He is not wrong about this logic. He is wrong about one piece of the timeline. The 2 Harpoon Block II missiles left Gettysburg's deck canisters at 5:54:17 local, 16 seconds before the first Nitsa round impacted near the battery position. The Harpoons are traveling at 0.85 Mach, approximately 290 meters per second, on a sea-skimming profile that will take them over the strait's northern coastline, across the lower plateau of Qeshm Island, and into terminal guidance acquisition of the battery position that was precisely GPS coded from the KH-11 imagery 14 days ago. The Harpoon's flight time to target is approximately 3 minutes and 49 seconds from launch. The battery commander's pre-launch checklist requires 18 minutes. He began it at 5:51 local. The Harpoons were launched at 5:54:17 local. The Harpoons will arrive at 5:58:06 local. At 5:58:06 local, the pre-launch checklist will be at the 11-minute mark, 7 minutes from completion. The Khalij Fars missiles will not be in the air. This is the piece of the timeline the battery commander does not know. He continues his checklist. His crew continues their procedures. The second Nitsa round impacts the plateau at 5:55:54 local, closer than the first. The Mark 45 crew has adjusted their aim point based on the first round's observed fall of shell, a process the MQ-9's sensor feed is facilitating in near real time. The third round arrives at 5:56:41 local. The impacts are creating a suppression envelope around the revetment that is degrading the external communications relay the battery uses to receive updated targeting data from the IRGC Maritime Headquarters Network. The battery commander notes this. He continues his checklist. He has 11 minutes remaining. He has 2 minutes and 15 seconds remaining before the Harpoons arrive. The first Harpoon Block II achieves GPS-guided terminal acquisition of the battery position at 5:58:01 local and transitions to its active radar seeker for the final 5 seconds of flight. The seeker acquires a large metallic return at the battery coordinates, the launcher structure of the Khalij Fars TEL, which presents a significant radar cross-section to a terminal phase active seeker. The Harpoon impacts at 5:58:06 local. The 227-kilogram warhead functions. The second Harpoon, 4 seconds behind the first, impacts the second launcher position at 5:58:10 local. Both Khalij Fars launchers are non-functional at 5:58:10 local. The pre-launch checklist is at the 11-minute mark. The missiles were not fired. The straight transit continues. At 6:22 local, USS Dwight D. Eisenhower passes through her closest point of approach to the former Qeshm Island battery position. 19 nautical miles, bearing 047, the position where the battery commander planned to put 2 Khalij Fars missiles at Mach 3 into a carrier that could not maneuver. Eisenhower is at 14 knots on heading 275. She is conducting flight operations, the morning launch of her combat air patrol package, which began at 5:45 local and was not interrupted by the engagement. The air boss, who was informed of the Gettysburg-Nizza engagement at 5:54 local, noted it, continued his launch sequence, and has successfully put 12 aircraft airborne before Eisenhower reaches closest point of approach to a battery that no longer exists. The intelligence picture from the engagement has a specific character, different from previous scenarios because this engagement produced kinetic results, and kinetic results generate their own intelligence. The MQ-9 sensor feed captured both Harpoon impacts and the approximately 40 seconds of post-impact imagery before the sensor operator repositioned the gimbal to survey the surrounding area. The post-impact imagery is being analyzed to assess the degree of launcher incapacitation and to identify any secondary elements of the battery complex, crew positions, support vehicles, communications nodes that were present at the time of impact. The imagery is detailed enough to identify vehicle types, which will be compared against the vehicle pattern from previous KH-11 passes to assess whether any elements of the battery complex were not present at the time of engagement. If any elements were absent, their likely location and the probable reason for their absence will be assessed. The Zafar radar's 47-second emission before launch is the most operationally significant intelligence product of the engagement, and it was produced before the first Harpoon left the deck. The Zafar emission in final targeting mode, the specific mode that the battery activates when it has transitioned from standby to active engagement preparation, is now fully characterized under operational conditions. The 47 seconds of emission provided more data about the Zafar's targeting mode characteristics than any previous collection event, because previous events were collected from surveillance transits at extended range rather than from a battery in final targeting preparation at 19 nautical miles. The range difference matters. At 19 nautical miles, the SLQ-32's collection geometry produced a signal-to-noise ratio that allows characterization of the Zafar's waveform parameters at a fidelity not previously available. This means that the next Khalij Fars battery that activates the Zafar radar in final targeting mode, anywhere in the Persian Gulf, the Gulf of Oman, or the Northern Arabian Sea, will be identified and classified by any SLQ-32 within collection range in under 1 second. The characterization will include an assessment of whether the radar is in standby mode, surveillance mode, or final targeting mode. Final targeting mode will trigger an immediate engagement sequence rather than a monitoring sequence. The 47 seconds that the Qeshm Island battery spent in final targeting mode generated a classification improvement that compresses future warning timelines from minutes to seconds. The Qeshm Island battery spent 11 days preparing for an engagement that lasted 11 minutes from Zafar activation to Harpoon impact. The intelligence architecture spent 19 days watching it prepare. The engagement architecture spent 6 weeks planning for it. The actual engagement lasted 3 minutes and 53 seconds from Harpoon launch to second impact. The Zafar characterization will go to the fleet by 800 local. The MQ-9 imagery package will go to the imagery intelligence community by 900 local. The SLQ-32 waveform update will be in every Aegis ship's electronic warfare system by 1000 local. The battery commander's crew trained for 8 days. The electronic warfare library update takes less than 4 hours. The cost accounting for this engagement has a direct quality. 2. Harpoon Block, 2 missiles at approximately $1.4 million each, $2.8 million. Mark 45 5-inch gun rounds, 3 rounds expended at approximately $9,000 each, $27,000. MQ, 9 flight hours for the surveillance orbit, approximately $40,000. Total U.S. material cost, approximately $2.87 million. 2 Khalij Fars missiles neutralized on their launchers before they could be fired, approximately $6 to $8 million each by open-source production cost estimates, based on the solid fuel motors and precision guidance packages. 2 launchers assessed as non-functional by post-strike imagery. Replacement value approximately $12 to $16 million each based on the mobile launcher platform costs. Total Iranian material loss, approximately $40 to $48 million, counting missiles and launchers. Iran spent 19 days activating a battery, 11 days preparing a specific engagement, and 8 days drilling the crew. The engagement produced 47 seconds of Zafar radar emission and 0 Khalij Fars launches. The U.S. spent $2.87 million in material and recovered the Zafar final targeting mode, waveform. The battery position confirmed to precise GPS coordinates now in the strike mission database, and the MQ-9 imagery package that documents the battery's status for future planning. The material exchange ratio is approximately 14 to 1 in the U.S.'s favor. The intelligence exchange ratio does not have a number. By 9 a.m. local, Iranian state media reports that the Islamic Republic's coastal defense forces successfully demonstrated deterrent posture against American naval provocations in the Strait of Hormuz, confirming Iran's capability and willingness to defend its sovereign territory. The broadcast does not mention the Harpoon impacts. It does not mention that the Khalij Fars missiles were not launched. It does not mention the 47 seconds of Zafar emission that the SLQ-32 collected at 19 nautical miles. It describes the Qeshm Island coastal defense complex as fully operational and ready to respond to future provocations, which is a description whose accuracy the post-strike imagery assessment will address within 72 hours. USS Dwight D. Eisenhower completes her Strait of Hormuz transit at 7:44 local and enters the Persian Gulf on her planned track. Her combat air patrol is airborne. Her flight deck crew is turning aircraft for the next launch cycle. The transit log entry for 0553 to 0558 local will note the Zafar radar detection, the Gettysburg Harpoon employment, the Nitsa fire mission, and the confirmed battery neutralization. The entry is 3 paragraphs. The transit continues on schedule. The Strait of Hormuz is 21 nautical miles wide at its narrowest point. U.S. carriers have been transiting it for decades. The geometry of the strait is not negotiable. The response to a battery that activates its fire control radar against a transiting carrier is also not negotiable. The battery commander understood the geometry. He did not understand the timeline. They rarely do. Bye for now.